It happened at my own birthday dinner. My husband suddenly stood up from the table, but he wasn't holding a gift or making a toast. Instead, he was holding my sister's hand. The entire room went silent. My sister had this smug smile on her face, the kind she always had when she knew she had already won. Then my husband looked directly at me and said the words that shattered everything. "I'm leaving you for her." Right there, in front of my parents, my friends, and everyone who came to celebrate my birthday. My chest felt tight, and my mind went blank. But the worst part wasn't him leaving. The worst part was my sister leaning closer and whispering with a cruel smile, "You were never good enough for him anyway." In that moment they thought they had destroyed me. They thought they had won. What they didn't realize was that this was only the beginning. My sister Emily had always been like this. Growing up, she took everything from me. If I had something nice, she wanted it. If I achieved something, she tried to ruin it. She took my clothes, my friends, and even my opportunities whenever she could. I was always the quiet one in the family, the one who tried to keep the peace. I forgave her more times than I can count because that's just who I was. Then years later I met Daniel, the man who would eventually become my husband. At first he seemed perfect. He was charming, supportive, and always said the right things. I believed he truly loved me. But while I was busy working long hours building my career and supporting our life together, something else was happening behind my back. Daniel started getting closer to Emily. At first it was harmless conversations during family dinners. Then private jokes. Then late-night text messages. Slowly, they built a secret connection right under my nose, and I ignored every warning sign because I trusted both of them. The birthday dinner wasn't actually the worst moment of the betrayal. The worst moment happened a few days later. I came home from work earlier than usual one afternoon, and something about the house felt strange. It was too quiet. Then I heard laughter coming from upstairs. It sounded familiar, but not in a good way. When I walked toward the bedroom door and pushed it open, my entire world stopped. They were both there, my husband and my sister. In my bed. My sister didn't even look embarrassed. She leaned back casually and said, "Well, now you know." Daniel couldn't even look at me. He just stared down at the floor like a coward. And in that exact moment something inside me changed. I expected to feel anger or heartbreak, but instead I felt something else. Clarity. They thought they had taken everything from me, but they forgot one important detail. The house we lived in, the savings accounts, and most of the investments, they were all in my name. That realization was the moment the plan began. Instead of screaming or crying, I did something that confused both of them. I smiled. The next morning I woke up early and acted completely normal. I made breakfast. I spoke calmly. I didn't argue or accuse anyone. To them it probably looked like I had already accepted my defeat. But behind the scenes, I was quietly putting every piece of my plan into motion. The first call I made was to my lawyer. The second call was to my financial advisor. The third call was to a locksmith. Within a few days, every shared bank account was secured and separated. Their access to my finances was gone. The ownership documents for the house were confirmed and protected. New locks were ordered and installed. At the same time, the divorce paperwork was being prepared. Daniel and Emily believed they had plenty of time to figure things out and start their new life together. What they didn't realize was that their future was already collapsing piece by piece. 2 weeks later they returned to the house together, laughing and talking as if nothing had happened. They walked up the driveway holding hands, probably discussing how they wanted to redecorate the place. When Daniel tried to unlock the front door, the key didn't work. At first they thought it was a mistake. He tried again. Still nothing. Confusion slowly turned into frustration. Then Emily noticed an envelope taped to the door. Inside were the divorce papers, along with official property ownership documents, bank account closure confirmations, and one short handwritten note for me. It said, "This house was always mine." The expressions on their faces changed instantly. Emily started shouting in anger, while Daniel kept trying to call my phone over and over again. But by that point I was already gone. I was sitting comfortably in my new apartment across the city, calmly watching everything through the security camera I had installed before leaving. And for the first time since the betrayal began, I smiled. The divorce didn't take long after that. Because everything was legally mine. Daniel walked away with almost nothing. The house, the money, and the assets all stayed with me. Emily thought she had won the ultimate prize by stealing my husband, but the reality turned out very different. A few months later, she even lost her job after the story of their affair spread through her workplace. As for me, I moved forward with my life. I started fresh in a new home, focused on my career, and finally found something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. The biggest lesson from all of this is that revenge doesn't always have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply letting people destroy their own lives while you quietly move on and build a better one. And now I want to ask you something. If your own sister betrayed you like this and stole your husband right in front of you, what would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments.